There are some lies in our science books. Taught it for 15 years. Even though I'm not teaching it anymore, I still like to study. It's so many neat things to learn. We're going to cover some of that tonight.
Perception is being managed. We are being steered and guided by a hidden hand.
The whole world has been duped by the media that is not real.
Smart thinking, possible time traveler, smart thinking.
That night, boom, contact memory.
And then, Alex, if you don't agree, you'll be sent to a re-education camp.
Just because I'm old doesn't mean I've lost my touch with the ladies.
A lot of people here tonight felt like they lost. You know why?
Now, experts are suggesting that we're in a golden age of shape-shifting reptilian sightings. Now, why is that?
I was, and still am, a huge conspiracy guy. I literally ran out of new tin hat topics to research.
It was most definitely not capable of melting steel.
Then I would be a crackpot if I thought that was the case.
Thought that was the case.
Welcome to the Hypothetical Institute, a podcast about conspiracies.
My name is Luke.
I am Salt.
I'm Cam. Gentlemen, it's good to see you.
You too. Oh, I mean, kind of see, here.
Yeah, hear you.
I thought that, Salty, you might not be joining us today.
Why is that?
Because I thought you might be sleeping.
Oh, well, I very nearly was.
Was a fair assessment, as it turned out, because you've just woken up.
Yeah.
But I was like, we can really set Salty up on this one. We can be like, Salty's not joining us because he's like, my takes on this are too hot.
Oh, yeah. We could have set me up as being like the real hot take guy on the Russian misinformation about gender in sports guy.
Yeah. So I had it all sorted. Yeah, just mate stuff. I don't know. It's the year of dogging your mates, right?
Is that
what it was? No.
I thought we were back to not dogging your mates again.
I think that was 2 years ago. I don't know what we're doing now.
No, I don't know what this year is.
This week we're talking about the Olympics and especially about the issue of transgender people participating in sports. Good grief. Can you imagine?
I don't think there's any trans athletes in the Olympics this year.
There are.
Oh, are there?
There was one trans boxer who participated, a trans male.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you haven't heard about this, Robbo.
I have not heard one single thing about that.
There's a bloke in the Olympics, and yeah, they don't give a shit about that.
Right. How did they do? Do you know?
I think they did okay, but they didn't win a gold medal. I did actually go looking to see, are there actually any trans women boxers at all?
Right.
And there are a couple, but there's so many hoops that people have to jump through to participate in boxing and in a lot of sports as a trans person, but especially in boxing, because I think that obviously there's like bigotry involved, but there's on this other level, you have these like in America with the boxing authorities, the administration that administers like the general boxing scene in America. I don't think they want to deal with the headlines and the bigotry, so they just put up so many roadblocks so that they just don't have to deal with it at some point. So to be a trans female boxer in America, you need to have been on hormones for 4 years and testing your testosterone levels every week officially for those 4 years. So if you transitioned like when you were 18 and you're now 22 and you're like, I want to take up boxing. Boxing's pretty cool. I saw it on the TV at the Olympics. Well, you have to start testing your testosterone every day now for the next 4 years. So you can start participating in boxing when you're 26. But it even goes further than that. I read this one case where, and I think this is sort of the standard thing, someone was like, I'm a trans woman. I want to do like refereeing at the boxing. Or I want to be like the one writing down the scores on the little piece of paper. And they're like, no, you need to have gone through all of the hoops before you can participate in the sport in any way, even if it's just writing down the little numbers.
Right. And is this the rules from the IBC?
So that's like the American boxing rules. And I think that it's probably quite similar around the place. Yeah. Obviously this weird Russian boxing thing, they have their own rules.
So this mob that's come out and been like, oh yeah, we're the international boxing blokes, and we set the rules, and the Olympics are like, get the fuck out of here, Olympic blokes, boxing blokes, we don't like you anymore. So is that the Russians?
Yeah, that's the Russians.
So I'll give a quick recap if you like, just to kind of, because it's really complicated. This whole thing is complicated from top to bottom. But every sport has a body that, for the most part, administers the sport. Mm-hmm. And then when the Olympics happens, they kind of look after that pocket of the sport, and they look after all the qualifiers and all that sort of thing. So I think in skateboarding, it's actually the Roller Skate Federation of Europe or something that administers skateboarding.
That needs to be looked into.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why Fashion Mag isn't in charge of that.
They really dropped the ball on getting roller skating in the Olympics.
Isn't there traditionally beef between roller skaters and skateboarders?
Nah, we're cool with roller skaters. It's rollerbladers. It's where the beef is.
All right, and the people on
sometimes
scooters.
the scooter kids,
scooter kids are bottom tier.
Yeah.
Why are the scooter kids so hated?
Because they're so numerous at skate parks now.
Yeah, taking up all the room, mate, on the vert ramps.
And there's so many of them that they've just gotten a scooter and they're going to hoon around the skate park while their parents go off and do drugs or whatever parents do. And they're just always in the way at skate parks.
Yeah. It's hard to drop in, mate, when there's 3,000 kids riding around on these little aluminium shin destroyers.
Yeah, not really knowing where they're going, and the scooters can do quite a bit of damage because they're quite ungainly. Like a skateboard kind of flies off and rolls away, whereas a scooter kind of gets tangled up in people.
I'm not here to defend scooters. I think that all of those scooters on the street should be thrown into the river. But I see videos of people on scooters. They're doing crazy tricks. They're spinning the scooter around, and they're still getting the hate that these kids are getting. It's like we need to take this on a case by case basis. Skaters.
Well, no, I think most skaters are probably fine with it because they're kids. So if you can't handle a couple of kids at the skate park, then I don't know. Go to a different sport, basically.
If that's the official pronouncement of Robbo, if you can't beat up a couple of kids at the skate park, that was reading between the lines, right? All right. Sorry.
But I think the other thing is the skateboarding is so hard to even get a basic level of. It's such a hard thing to do. If you've never stood on a skateboard before, next time you see a skateboard, stand on it and see what I mean. Whereas a scooter, a scooter is quite easy to stand on because you can hold on.
Yeah.
So the learning curve, is looked down a little bit. You've got to hold on to a little thing. You can't just jump on a skateboard. So I think that's part of it as well. Anyway, that's completely beside the point. The IBA was used to be the International Amateur Boxing Association, which has since been changed to the IBA. Over the years, that's, I think, for a long time has looked after boxing. But over the years, it's kind of been a bit of a Russian takeover. These days, its main sponsor, or up until recently, its main sponsor for the last 10 years or so was Gazprom, which is the Russian state-owned oil company.
Right.
Gazprom also has its own private army, which is recruited from people that work for the oil company, and they're currently fighting in Ukraine. So they're the kind of the main funders of this modern International Boxing Association. Things got so bad in 2016 in the Olympics there when they overhauled the judging system, and suddenly there was two Russian fighters that had wins that they probably shouldn't have had, and everyone was like, "Hang on, right. things are not pretty sus here." And so then I think they sacked from that Olympics all the judges and all the referees were like, "None of you are ever being involved in boxing again." And the IOC said, "We're going to take over boxing now. We're going to look after boxing in the Olympics." IBA is still, I think, quite prominently involved. How this kind of culminated with, is it Iman Khalif, the Algerian boxer, she beat a Russian fighter, and then a couple of days later they're like, oh, maybe we need to do an unspecified test on Iman, and then, oh, what do you know, she's got to come back, and from that unspecified test we don't believe she's eligible to box in the female category, and the Russian actually won, which there's no sort of transparency around that. It's just, it seemed to be an arbitrary decision. It's really not clear what that test was. And then obviously what's happened now is the Olympics come, she punches the shit out of an Italian lady, 2 okay punches, I think, right in the face, and the Italian lady's like, oh man, I don't want to be punched again.
Yeah.
I really chose the wrong sport for this. And
took up skateboarding.
Yeah, really should have taken up skateboarding.
No, don't take up skateboarding.
Yeah,
they take some hits.
Yeah, they also take hits.
Should have taken up breakdancing.
Breakdancing, yeah. More on breakdancing later, I think.
Yeah.
I listened to a bunch of podcasts about this, about sort of gender in sports, people for, people against. I listened to a couple of boxing podcasts, and all the boxing podcasts I listened to, well, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 I listened to, they were like, oh, that Iman is an okay fighter, never really seemed to be like a particularly strong fighter. And, like there was nothing that ever stood out about her as like, wow, this fighter is a big puncher. Like in the boxing world, she was really good at what she does. But, there's never any really like questions, or like no one ever thought she had this huge advantage over her opponent. So I listened to a really good boxing podcast. And it's kind of interesting going into these podcasts because you're like, oh man, which way is this person going to go? And this person just did a really good kind of unpacking of the boxing angle, and basically from a boxing perspective, there doesn't seem to be any biological advantage or anything. She's just a really good boxer, and she hit someone in the face really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then J.K. Rowling pissed her pants about it, and here we are. I guess a little bit more about the guy in charge of the AIBA for a while was an Uzbek businessman. This is in 2017. The United States government had placed him under sanctions due to alleged links to organized crime, and described him as one of Uzbekistan's leading criminals. He had been barred from Olympic events since 2000. The IBA has got a lot of. It's a really shady organization at this point. I mean, and also being a shady organization within boxing is quite an achievement.
Yeah, and to be a shady organization within the Olympics is an achievement, right?
Yeah.
if they're calling you corrupt.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so it's really kicked off a lot of debate. And, I think listening to all the podcasts I could find, or not all of them, but a good chunk, just to kind of get an understanding of how gender issues in sport and, different, I guess, what's the term, DSD athletes, differences of sexual development athletes, and how that might impact, sports as a whole. And it's a really tough issue, I think. I think there's got to be a lot more talked about it. And I guess it really sucks. It's one of those things that it sucks that it's been hijacked by your awful, awful people to attack, successful athletes. And quite often, as people point out, athletes of colour are quite often being attacked over it. It means that the actual nuance of the discussion kind of gets lost. And I know people are having that nuance of discussion, and it's just a shame that the mainstream conversation is J.K. Rowling and Elon Musk and I think Donald Trump weighed in. All just, awful stuff.
Yeah, I noticed that it sort of reminded me of climate change debates a bit, where there's, you have climate change deniers. I think we've talked about this before, and there's like very vibes-based climate change denial. And then there's like statistics-based climate change denial where they pull up a bunch of graphs and stuff that don't stack up. And yeah, you've got the JK Rowlings who are doing vibes-based stuff. Like, I don't like to see a bloke hitting a woman. And I see some of these comment sections on Facebook where people are saying this, and I'm thinking, statistically, I know that's not true for some of you guys saying, I don't like to see a bloke hitting a woman. I don't think that's correct. And then there's like the sciencey people who are like, oh, I read quite a bit about this. It's like, women have more organs, so their blood oxygen levels are lower because the oxygen has to go to more organs than men. It's like, how many more organs do women have really? What are they keeping from us?
Where are they hiding all their secrets?
I don't think that the amount of organs is having a huge impact on your skill in the ring. I don't believe that. Unless they've got like 3 spleens that they've been keeping from us. And maybe. I don't know.
I mean, you know, we're just 3 straight white dudes. We don't know what the secrets that women have. And like, they're right to keep it from us. We would only fuck it up somehow.
We don't need to know, really.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't really particularly want to weigh in too much further than that, I don't think. I guess people have quite pointed out that there's the convicted child rapist playing beach volleyball, which J.K. Rowling hasn't mentioned.
Yeah.
And there's an Australian coach who's there that's a convicted sex abuser as well.
All right. I didn't know about that guy.
Yeah. I think
Aussie.
Let's go.
He's an Australian sex offender. This is from the Sydney Morning Herald. The title is Convicted Australian Sex Abuser at Olympics as Coach.
Well, look, I'm glad that we're being represented in all the things this year.
Yeah.
Not just the like bad breakdancing, but we're also being represented in the problematic people that we're sending to the Olympics.
Yeah, you saw an opportunity with only one other sexual offender that we know of at the Olympics. And you're like, well, it's a small field.
I was just going to say, just on like the database thing, one thing I did see was, you know, I was looking at the person who was talking about how they had to jump through all these hoops to even box. And they're like, you know, the thing is, if you actually look at the data, restricting your testosterone for 4 years, by the end of it, you have lost like a lot of muscle mass. You know, you've transitioned. And so you don't have any advantages.
Yes, yeah, that's kind of my understanding as well. Is by the time that sort of transitions happened, it's
the thing about the vibe space thing is it's really predicated on this idea that there's just men who are like, you know what, I can't hack it in the male boxing. I'm just going to say I'm a woman. And I'm going to go and punch some women and win a gold medal. And it's like, that's not happening. No one's... But like so you're saying that someone came up with this scheme and they're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to transition for 4 years so I can pull off this scheme. And you'd want to do it like right before an Olympics, because you wouldn't want to do it right after and not get into the next Olympics. Then you got to transition for 8 years.
Well, but you'd need to then go through qualifications and training, so it would have to be an 8-year plan, because you couldn't just do the 4 years, maybe a 6-year plan. The other thing, a lot of sports now are going to, if someone has gone through puberty as that gender, then they can't compete once they've transitioned. So if they've gone through male puberty, then they can't then become a boxer after transition. But people are pointing out that puberty blockers are being
banned.
Illegal. Yeah, a lot of companies.
By the same people who are making the rules that if you've been through puberty, you can't participate in these things.
Yeah, exactly. So it's basically kind of making a loophole to exclude trans athletes, basically.
Yeah, and to erase them from society.
But I guess the crazy, well, not the crazy thing, but one of the frustrations about this debate is it wasn't even triggered by a trans athlete. There's no, it's just kind of the way that J.K. Rowling and everyone have kind of made it their own argument.
We're all playing their game.
Yeah. Anything more on the data cam?
No, it's all pretty much bullshit. Like that's the thing. It's like it doesn't stack up.
We've had a few other transvestigations now that that's a mainstream. We did an episode on this like really early on, didn't we?
Yeah, it was like our second episode. And I was thinking in our in that episode where we talked about transvestigations, we were like, it's sort of heartwarming that all of the transvestigators aren't actually transphobic.
Were we? Oh god!
I don't know if we said heartwarming. It was maybe refreshing because they weren't. They're like every single celebrity is the opposite gender of what they present as secretly.
Yeah, it wasn't. They weren't having a crack specifically at specific people for being trans. They were just like they're all trans.
Yeah, Brad Pitt is a woman.
Yep.
Michelle Obama is a man. It's pretty simple shit. We've got nothing.
They look like they're the opposite.
We've got nothing against trans people. I think like trans people really threw like a spanner in the cogs because it was like so Laverne Cox is a woman who transitioned to be a man for Nephilim purposes and now has transitioned to being a woman, but they really are a woman.
Right. So trans celebrities have actually done it, gone back and forth a couple of times.
I think that's
under the system.
That's how it has to work. I think that generally they didn't talk about trans celebrities because then it got too complicated. But basically, every celebrity, anyone in the public eye really was the opposite gender of what they said they were, and it was because they were all descended from angels.
Yeah.
And they were like half demon or whatever. It's like, that's nice.
Mm.
But at least you're not weird about it. Now they have gotten weird about it since. So that's not nice.
It's crazy how awful Twitter is these days. And it's still like obviously the vibrant hub that it was, but then I jumped onto the For You section of Twitter and it's really, really upsetting. And this is kind of where it's all happened. Elon Musk is certainly not shying away from, I guess, doing the most fascist shit he can find, including this kind of stuff.
Mm.
But also on Twitter, Kyle Rittenhouse, the guy that murdered someone at a protest.
Mm.
He came out and said he wasn't going to vote for Donald Trump. He was on board with RFK, and then a bunch of right wing cookers started outing him as being trans, and saying that he used to be a woman. And then the Trump campaign reached out to him, and now he's back voting for Trump.
Yeah.
Which is just, I don't know. Haven't the Trump campaign got more things to worry about than Kyle Rittenhouse?
This is their one-by-one approach to winning votes. We'll just, if someone says they're going to vote for Trump, we'll just say that they're a woman until they vote for us. And if we just do that 200 million times, we've got this in the bag.
Yeah. And then Andrew Tate, the awful person,
sex trafficker.
Yeah, he posted a photo of him in some Speedos, quite colourful actually. And now people are like pointing out that they can't see his dinger. So let's see. I think I've seen people accusing him of being trans in the past as well, and saying that he's not all you think he is, and it's weird because he's an awful person. But I guess the people that are accusing him of it are awful people. I don't know. It's a strange world out there.
Yeah.
Mm.
But so I guess the far right or even the moderate right these days just turn on themselves pretty quickly.
What a shame.
Also, Alex Jones, I watched a little bit of him talking about this, and it was awful, really, really bad. But he reckons he would knock her out, the boxer. And
please, can someone organise that?
Yeah, I was like, I would kind of be into seeing how that goes down.
Let's please organise that fight.
Yeah. I mean, he would have a massive power advantage over her because he's quite a hefty dude,
and he's got all those bloody pills. He's got all of his
Brain Force Plus.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I don't think Alex Jones could beat her in a fight, but because his brain is on that other level, he'd be like Sherlock Holmes, seeing all the punches coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's true. Yeah, he's just like, from his point of view, it's just like a overlay of maths equations and trajectories.
Yeah. Also, the opening ceremony, guys. I don't know if you noticed that the opening ceremony was actually a satanic ritual.
I didn't. You know what? I saw a lot of stuff about it. I was like, people were talking about it, and then did something happen? And all media about it got removed or something?
Well, no, all media about it got removed because the Olympics people don't let you post videos of the Olympics.
Oh yeah, that's standard though, right? That's not like
that's just every
Olympics.
Yeah.
And that happens every Olympics, and people are like, oh, that's so annoying. But this year, they're like, that's so satanic.
Yeah.
It's a different world nowadays, mate.
Yeah. Things have changed. So the kind of the main things that freaked Christians and Catholics out there were some drag performers.
Right.
The NBC in America cut away. There was like I think drag and differently abled athletes were kind of strolling down a catwalk or something, and NBC actually cut away and showed crowd shots for that whole period. Which, I don't know, NBC, come on, that sucks. But then there was the alleged Last Supper, which was the feast of Dionysus or Bacchus, with a dude painted blue and looking very jaunty and fun. And I think there was an all-gendered rainbow spectrum behind him of people celebrating. And it was supposed to be this kind of bacchanalian celebration and a tribute to that. But the Christians and Catholics have said it bears a striking resemblance to the Last Supper. And as a result, it's an attack on Christianity, and they're trying to divide us. I think Elon Musk even got on that stuff too. I watched some David Icke about that, and he was saying that they're dividing Christians and they're subliminally putting things into our brain by doing this sort of a thing.
Yeah. I would just say on this, the Christians, if they think that there's like a secret pagan, like if the pagans are putting secret Christian imagery into their stuff, I want to just have a quick skim through the book. There might actually be a bit of secret pagan imagery in there, a few recycled things.
The main crux of it was around it looked a lot like the Last Supper.
Yeah.
And everyone and the people that weren't Christian were like, no, it's nothing like the Last Supper. It was this whole bacchanalian thing, but there is a moment when it's clearly doing a take of the Last Supper.
Yeah.
Like if you put them side by side, there's 100% they are referencing the Last Supper because they are all lined up in the same way. Which is fine. Like the Last Supper is not something that's protected, and it's been, it's a painting, and it's been parodied millions of times in millions of media. And it's kind of funny that people are denying that it is a parody of the Last Supper. And I've got a side by side. I'll pop it into our group chat and maybe I'll post it on our Blue Sky. But like to deny that this is not a reference to the Last Supper is a bit of a lie, I think. Right, I've just dropped a screenshot into the group chat now. And as you can see,
yeah, no, that's 100%. Yeah. Last summer, they're leading over in the same way. There's people doing the same arm movements. Come on.
Yeah. So, and that's something that we're so determined to push back on the right that we'll just lie to ourselves.
What's on the table in front of them? Is that like a DJ?
Yeah, she's got a DJ, 2 CDJs or MIDI controllers.
And that's like in the Last Supper thing, like you could put a DJ set under Christ's hands.
Yeah,
and he'd be DJing like a mad cunt.
He would be. Yeah, so like the Last Supper isn't an inherent, like it's about a Christian thing, but it's not like it's not an artifact of that time or anything. Like we can mock it.
It's not a photograph.
No. And if it was, we can still mock it. We're allowed to.
Well, it's also, fine. When this is just my feel from like the Olympics opening ceremony and all Olympics opening ceremonies. I don't know if mocking is the tone that they're ever going for.
No.
So they're just referencing it.
Yeah, it's like if you're watching Airplane or Flying High, depending on what country you're in, and they had a reference to Last Supper, which would be just a normal thing in a parody movie, and people freaking out about it and saying they're laughing at Christianity. They're not. We can allude to things. It's part of like popular culture.
Yeah. Also, I feel like if they'd had a guy dressed up as Jesus in there, that would have actually made them more angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what's this guy doing here? What's that got to do with the Olympics?
Yeah.
And then he did some parkour. No, actually, I take it back. What if they recreated, like, the Last Walk after the Last Supper when they made him carry the cross?
Mm.
They have him carrying the cross through the streets of Paris, and like the Roman guards are like, yeah, you dickhead. And then suddenly drops the cross like up against a wall, runs up it, scurries up, starts running across the rooftops. Now that would have been a good opening ceremony.
Yeah. Grabs a skateboard, kick flips off between buildings.
No one could get offended by that.
Wasn't I didn't see the ceremony, but I think there was some beheadings at the start of the ceremony as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Classic Paris gear.
Yeah, it just looked like weird Euro shit, and that's fun. Europeans be weird. The person that was interviewing David Icke, I don't know who he was, and I didn't care to look at his name up, but he was talking about the 2012 London Olympic ceremony that had the reference, everyone says, to COVID, a prediction for COVID.
Right.
A little early for that.
Yeah.
Like,
because
thanks for the warning.
Yeah.
Like 2 Olympics is out.
Yeah, because they had children in hospital beds and like giant comedy needles and stuff, and it was a tribute to the Britain's NHS, National Health Service. And what happened was the hospital beds were being overrun by villains from books. There's Cruella de Vil, the Queen of Hearts, Voldemort, and then I think they were rescued by the health people and stories, and just a bit of fun, really. But apparently that's a reference to COVID. Okay. I don't know what Captain Hook and Cruella de Vil had to do with COVID, but we'll get to the bottom of it. It is kind of funny though that J.K. Rowling, I think, was in that. I think she read J.K. Rowling read the start of Peter Pan during that ceremony, which goes to show how far she's fallen from being involved in the opening ceremony, predicting COVID, to now jumping ship and calling out the left,
and just going crazy from the mold in her walls.
Yeah. Do you know about the mold in the walls, Cam? Can you tell us about that?
Well, so someone noticed that in her profile pic on Twitter, it looks like there's mold on her walls. And when they pointed it out, she changed her profile picture. I've seen some speculation that it's like some sort of pattern on the wallpaper. There's other photos where it looks like there's mold in the walls, but that could also be the pattern. It's like, I don't know, it's a bit of a moldy pattern.
Yeah. Unless that's what she was going for when she went and got the wallpaper. Got anything a bit mildewy?
I do, I'll just say in defense of J.K. Rowling.
Jesus.
Here we go. Settle in, everyone.
Finally.
No, he's going to have a real good hot take on his love for the cops.
Yeah.
Not in defense of J.K. Rowling, but the problem with the J.K. Rowling and a bunch of these people that have gotten their brains cooked on this stuff is that they don't have people around them to tell them to stop.
Yeah.
No one in when you're that successful in one thing, no one's going to be like, oh, you need to tone down the weirdness. When she started being weird is when someone said, hey, you're being weird. That never happened, obviously. So, it's the price of fame, I suppose.
Yeah.
But also when she logs onto Twitter, and it seems like she uses Twitter like a normal person, she's responding to things and replying to people and getting into spats. But her Twitter feed must just be wild. She's got millions of followers and all of these people talking at her. It would just be completely deranged to try and pass it, but she tries to, which is just shows the amazing power of mold.
Yeah,
it does. Black mold. Everyone get on board.
Get it in
It's
your
got
brain.
her brain operating on a different level.
I just want to say the Olympics as a whole, I love the Olympics. I like to see people compete and do well and have fun. And the right and the cookers have like really worked hard to paint this as like this farcical event. And it's been a lot of fun and I really enjoyed it. So I've actually watched a lot of sport climbing and it was great. So I'd like to say I'm on board with the Olympics.
Now, the breakdancing.
Yes.
I saw
Raygun.
I jumped into some of the comments threads about Raygun today. And again, it's people who I don't think have ever had an opinion on breakdancing in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they've ever had an opinion on like women's sport in their lives. But they're definitely expressing those opinions now. But like they're like, oh, Raygun has stolen the dream of another breakdancer by going to the Olympics and doing their breakdance. We could have sent someone who could have won. It's like, well, firstly, Raygun won the competitions to get to be the one that goes to the Olympics. And secondly, I don't know if you've seen this, Robbo. You know, Raygun is Dr. Rachel Gunn, the PhD, you know, whose PhD is about gender representation in breakdancing.
Yes.
You're all being... I saw someone say this, and I think that they're right. You're all being set up.
Absolutely. This is
she's bloody got you. I think there was... I've seen some people being like, you're all being set up, brackets, nefariously. I think it's like Dr. Rachel Gunn has maybe thought, well, if I do a couple of things, if I make a couple of choices regarding what I'm doing, like, for example, wearing the Australian uniform to do my breakdancing in, I think we're going to see a paper about that. Because they're like, why isn't she wearing breakdance? Like all of these Aussie types being like, why isn't she wearing a breakdancing outfit? Why is she wearing Aussie colours? It's like, well, is it normally your take on people wearing the green and gold? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't help because this was really jarring. I was watching some of the golf last night as well. It doesn't help that green and gold are really hideous.
Yeah.
Like the red, white and blue American lady, her outfit was great. The New Zealand lady was basically wearing a cocktail dress, like it was a black dress. And then it cuts to a billowy bright yellow top and a hideous green skirt. I was like, oh, that's really jarring.
Also,
come on, Luke, just dial back on the green and gold hate there a little, please.
I mean, we're pretty fortunate that we've got black.
Yeah.
And other countries try to wear black sometimes, and you're like, no, that's ours. We've claimed it.
We're all black.
Yeah.
I think that the other thing about breakdancing is aren't like the traditional colours of breakdancing like neon pink.
Yeah, they're pretty bright. It's a pretty bright sport, I think.
Yeah. So the thing with Raygun's performance is it was like an artistic performance, right?
Yeah.
One of the things she's written about is like the sportification of breakdancing, whether that's necessarily a good thing for the art form. And so then she goes and does like the more arty style of breakdancing.
Yeah, she also did all of her own moves.
Yeah.
As was pretty apparent. With the I think she had like a whole extended snake bit.
Right.
And a kangaroo bit, which was being heavily memed already. And like I like that someone is bringing something different to a sport.
Yeah, I saw a video, like amongst all the videos that were just like mocking it, I did see one video that I can't find since that did paint her performance in a pretty positive light in terms of like, hey, she's there, she's doing her own thing, she's, representing, some Australian things in her moves and it's a bit different and, good on her.
Yeah, and I think that's important in these kind of events, or at least that's something I've always liked about hip hop or and all its associated things is you should bring your own personality to it. You shouldn't just copy what's happened before you because otherwise everyone's just doing the same thing.
Yeah, she could have been out there doing the same worms and fucking
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 2024. Do we want to doing the worm?
Yeah.
No, we want to see her doing the snake.
We want to see the snake. Also, friends of friends. A couple of my friends in Melbourne are friends with Dr. Gunn, and they were really happy and really stoked to see their friend out there representing herself on the world stage, which is nice.
Yeah, I also feel like some of it is like, oh, there's someone called Raygun. Like people were getting set off by that, but they all had their names.
I did see someone say, "Why isn't she going by Dr. Raygun?" Which is much cooler, and
it is a lot cooler.
Yeah,
that might have been a tip off that we're being set up for a paper.
It is a good name. Her name, Rachel Gunn, Raygun, perfect. Perfect.
Some of these names I've seen, it's like, well, this is I need to know an inside joke to get this one. With Raygun, I can understand. Hope that this goes in the paper. This conversation.
Yeah,
I'll make sure. I'll make sure I put that we talk about the Raygun thing in the description so she can find it when she's doing her data collection.
Yeah. I'll send it to my friends who will pass it through.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, a lot of fun. I have seen some other alternate takes that saying actually she's kind of made a joke out of the whole thing, and it's impacted the sport negatively with all the coverage. You know that she's kind of soaked up all the media for what could have been a differently covered event, which I think there is some validity to that.
Well,
but all that media is coming from the worst people. So.
Yeah. And conversely, one of the things she's written about is, when they announced that breakdancing was going to be the Olympics, and she and all of the other breakdancers in Australia were getting calls about it from the media and giving nuanced takes about what that would mean for the art form and for the sport. And then on the media, it's just like Rachel Gunn says, I'm excited.
Yeah.
So again, you've fallen into the trap. You're talking about it as before you wouldn't have been talking about it at all. Anyway, it's out of the Olympics next time anyway.
Yes. It was
when they're going to Los Angeles, where I suspect there might be a couple of breakdancers around.
Yeah, you'd expect in LA's their logo is, or at least their preliminary logo was very like hip hop looking. So it's weird that they've gotten rid of it. Yeah.
Well, that's the Olympics. Shall we discuss some news?
Yeah, there's not a lot because, like...
Thank you.
Yeah, because the news is basically the media.
All right.
Wait, no, that's not what I mean. Conspiracies are the news now. That's what
Item number one, Lara Logan, talking furries. Who's Lara Logan?
She was some... I think she was a Fox journo that got super cooked. She's now hosting InfoWars. We talked about her not too long ago. She was a CBS correspondent, and then she got real cooked and fallen off, and now she's hosting InfoWars. That's right. She made some real idiotic comments. We talked about it a while ago. I can't remember what they were, but it was just like, man, you don't understand anything. Anyway, she had a special report into furries, and she was talking to an anonymous investigator about the world of furries and how they're like actually sex trafficking and really bad, and they're not the fun-loving animals that we all paint them as. And the evidence for that was if you go into Pornhub, you can find furry porn.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, if you go into Pornhub, you can find porn about anything.
Yeah.
Not the damning report into furries I was hoping for.
Really
not that I'm hoping furries be cancelled, because
no,
I don't want to alienate furries out there.
Yeah,
we stand furries.
We don't want to. That's a group of people we don't want against us.
No, and there's a lot of positivity in that community.
Yeah, and we rely on them to keep the internet running. So
yes, absolutely.
This is a pro furry podcast. They're really stuck on like a few years ago. They're like, I don't know if they got a lot of traction when they were like doing the furry stuff and doing the like, oh, there's a kid at school who identifies as a cat and they've put a litter tray in for her. Like, I don't know if that stuff ever got them anywhere.
No.
But they seem really stuck on that.
That one still comes up. It came last year in my town, and someone mentioned it to me, and I'm like, there's a town of 4,000 people. I think you'd know the cat kid.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, yeah, right. Good point.
Yeah. And also, we're a town of 4,000 people. We're a lovely town. If there was a cat kid, we'd be putting out like little bowls of milk for them and stuff.
Yeah.
Supporting them. Wouldn't we? Are we going to be like hassling the cat kid?
Yeah, the cat kid's got enough got enough in their little kiddie bowl.
Like, obviously keep them away from the docks because they're going to be stealing fish. But like,
yeah, no, that'd be fun to see. We all love that little video of a cat stealing a fish.
Let's all be nice to the cat kid. Fuck. All right. Also on InfoWars, a lot of Tommy Robinson stuff.
Yeah, Tommy Robinson's becoming a big, and this is kind of tied into the Russian disinfo we talked about earlier and the Olympic stuff. A lot of Russian disinfo into the race riots happening, or the complete racists being fuckwits in the UK at the moment, where they claimed a Muslim person was behind an attack, and then it all kicked off, and Tommy Robinson was right in there. One of the main sources, or the first source of it, the disinfo about it being a Muslim person responsible, was a website called Channel 3 Now. And if you go on Channel 3 Now's YouTube, about 10 years ago, they exclusively showed Russian rallying videos.
Like cars, not
car
like
rallying.
Russia, not rallies in Russia.
No.
Yeah.
And now it went dormant, and now it's back, renamed as Channel 3 Now, and is now whipping up. They seem to just report on, I was looking through their main Twitter, I think it was, and just report on people being shot in America. It seems to be their bread and butter. So it seems to be just trying to get people angry.
Sorry.
Just quickly before you move on, Lara Logan was the one that she saw a joke tweet that linked Antifa to juggalos and a clown hierarchy, and said that juggalos are an Antifa organization with a command structure. She got taken in by a not a very elaborate joke tweet, but a funny one nonetheless, and she thought that was real. So that's the level she's operating.
Of course, that's ridiculous. There's no truth to that.
Juggalos also very pro furry. One of the ICP supports their furry daughter very, very positively.
There's also been a bit of assassination talk on InfoWars. Apparently, everyone's just going to be assassinated.
Yeah, a long list of people being assassinated on InfoWars. InfoWars, man, I went on there expecting something, and it was just the same old gear. It was really disappointing.
I did see. This is like, I feel like I'm on the newsroom. Remember that show? I've only got one source for this, so I shouldn't be reporting it without a second source. But I did see something before that maybe someone's just been arrested for possibly planning to assassinate Trump, and it was like Iranian backed,
right?
Because it was all related to apparently JD Vance's the shit sheet that the Trump campaign have on JD Vance has been leaked by the Iranians as well. Anyway, take that with a grain of salt. Google that one. Don't trust me. Don't come to your news for me on Iran.
Okay.
I only have one source, which is a tweet I read just after waking up and just before doing this podcast. Next item, AI crowds for Kamala and Waltz.
Yeah, every crowd video is being analysed and being shared as being AI about them. It's just so, and it's like none of it looks like AI at all. And then I saw it as an article. Oh no, someone posted on, might have been a tweet, but it went around some conspiracy circles of black curtains covering up the top deck, the top rows of seats, and people look at them covering up the empty seats. It's like, that's just how those things.
That's just standard operating for anywhere.
It's just a normal way to do it. And also, someone pointed out in the comments of the conspiracy thread that the sound would actually be really awful without covering them up, because it would just be bouncing around the empty rows. So, and also crowd sizes don't fucking matter.
Yeah, and also if let's say they did matter, and you're like, well, there's this footage of this rally, and all of these people are AI, so they've gone in and changed the people in all of the cell phone video from the rally as well. They've done it 100,000 times. 100 or 1,000 times they've edited all of these different footages, because otherwise you could point to an example of a video that showed that there weren't people there. And it's Anyway, we have got good news. There is a video called Rumors That PK Has Died on YouTube.
What?
And I can see that one Peter PK Kirchner is the one presenting this video. So I suspect that the news is that the rumors that PK has died are untrue. Can you give us an update on PK's living status, Robbo?
Very much alive. I went actually looking for the rumors because I was like, I wanted to know who was pushing them. couldn't find them anywhere.
Isn't he?
Yeah, couldn't find them anywhere.
Just before we blame PK, and PK has a lot of faults, but are we the ones that push the rumors? Because I know people have asked us, is PK alive? And we've been like, well, we don't know.
We probably
he was very sick.
Yeah.
He was very sick and then he went away. So it might be us that pushed the rumors. So he's not dead. Does he comment on the fact that he was dying?
No, I think he said he's been unwell, but yeah. I think he just kind of moved on to something else. So he did an extended video about the Donald Trump shooting being staged as well.
Mm-hmm.
But he posted it like 3 days ago at time of recording. And buddy, we have moved on so far from that. We are so far past that now.
What are you talking about? Who shot Trump?
But he reckons Trump was in on it, so he's got some gear about the fake blood or the no blood on Trump and all that stuff. So, he's still doing his thing. Oh, PK, definitely still alive.
Good on him, mate.
Yeah. Cam, you going to award PK the bag?
No bag for PK.
I mean, I don't mind that he's doing his thing, but I don't want him to get any bags from it.
No.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah.
There was a shootout in Florida between conspiracy theorists and the police.
Right.
Yeah, apparently this lady was trying to lure people into her house because she thought everyone was pedophiles, and when they would come in, she would try and shoot them.
No. Don't get lured into a house, folks.
No.
Don't get lured anyway. If you're getting lured, that's not good.
I just came across this one before we recorded, and I'm assuming it's QAnon and adjacent. I was kind of wondering, I haven't looked at what the QAnon crowd are up to these days. I think it's just kind of morphed into everyone now, but yeah, I might dive into that one a bit further for next time.
And a final item, Robbo, Tim Pool versus skateboarding. Is Tim Pool still being literally a villain from a skateboarding movie?
Yeah. There's been a back and forward. There's a skateboard YouTuber called Gifted Hater. He's a Twitch streamer and YouTuber, and they're now beefing pretty hard with some back and forward videos. And Gifted Hater is quite enjoyable, and so it's been quite funny seeing.
That's the last person you want to be in a beef with.
With a Gifted Hater, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And he's quite enjoying being, named in a Tim Pool video because it's quite funny and you get a lot more views. So he's racking up them views while quite systematically destroying Tim Pool's arguments very well. So shout out to Gifted Hater, a real one out there in the streets.
Yep, one bag for Gifted Hater. Yep. Don't hate on me.
Yep.
I couldn't take it. All righty.
That's it. Oh, we've got a little song that was going to play us out as well. And we're going to go out with a bit of a different song today. We've got a song from a friend of the show. His band is the Alex Jonestown Massacre.
Oh,
put out a bit of I think it's an album or a 9-song EP called, I think it's just self-titled, but this song's called Brain Force Plus by the Alex Jonestown Massacre. You can find them on Spotify, so shout out to them.
So that's what we'll be playing next. Although I kind of want to play Disparaging the Boot as a bootable offence.
I mean, I think we could play both of them if you want, Cam. I don't think they're going to take us down. They're not going to copyright strike us. Shout out to them.
Yeah, that'd be a frenemy of the show if they did that.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right. If people want to find us, Robbo, I'm going to edit in some pretty hot takes from you and then say they can find you behind the bar.
All right. Just find me on Blue Sky, lukerules.bsky. Whatever it is, social.
So, where can they find you, mate?
Look, I'm back on the pots and pans on the old Twitch, so you can grab me at twitch.tv/The Salt for some twice a week art action.
Nice. Yeah, I've been meaning to tune in. I saw you were back. Well done on getting back streaming regularly.
Thanks, mate.
And you can find me on Blue Sky, Sexenheimer.bluesky, whatever. Twitter I just found really awful last few weeks. It's like, for all of the aforementioned reasons. But you might find the occasional bon mot from me there still.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I jumped on Twitter to just scroll through and find some info and maybe mostly look at the Raygun memes, to be honest. But so it's still,
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
you can also find us on Patreon.
Yes, and thank you to Tammy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.
All right.
Pew, pew. Dr.
Pew,
Raygun.
pew.
Pew, pew, pew.
Laters.
Bye.
Bye.